Hi, I'm Brent Stafford, and this is RegWatch by RegulatorWatch.com. We hear incessantly these days about a new normal imposed on society by public health in its response to the COVID-19 pandemic. But when it comes to vaping in America, could the public health response really be new, or is it only a doubling down on the same old dirty tactics? Flavor bans, junk science, demonization, and stoking hysteria in the mainstream media. This doesn't sound like a new normal at all, but just more of the same old status quo. Now, joining us today to discuss the likelihood and possibilities of a new normal for vaping is Dino Baccari, founder and president of Whitehorse Vapor in Providence, Rhode Island. Dino, thanks for joining us today on RegWatch.
Thanks for having us, Brent.
It's great to
be here.
It's great to see you, Dino, for sure. Now, you're an aggressive vape entrepreneur and fierce advocate for vaping. Before we get into your background, let's start with the flavor ban in Rhode Island. When did it come into force? How restrictive is it? And what's been the impact?
Just recently, executive order was assigned by the Governor Raimondo. We had a temporary ban back in late September 2019. It's been a tremendous, it's been a setback for the entire vaping community here in Rhode Island. And it's forced our company to start exploring new territory. There's no chance of growing here inside of Rhode Island. Our neighboring state, Massachusetts, has also underwent a complete ban as well, down to just tobacco products, the same as here in Rhode Island.
And New York too, right?
Tax. Yes, yeah. Now New York is new territory now as well. Carbon copy and stuff. Yeah.
So that whole chunk then of the Eastern Seaboard is really just a nightmare for vaping. It's a no-go zone.
Yeah, not good territory. Yeah, and definitely not good territory for growth. Yeah.
So then tell us a little bit about your story in terms of what made you so passionate about vaping and how that translated into your retail business.
Well, it's pretty simple. I mean, I stem from the nightlife industry. I was in the hospitality world for years. I was always around cigarette smoke, and plus just my overall upbringing and background. I feel I say it on some other Facebook videos that I put together that I was probably born to be a nicotine user. Just through the previous experiences. And I smoked since I was 14 years of age, and I was up to about a pack and a half a day at some points. And I was introduced to vaping. I found an e-cigarette at a local store downtown Providence, and I haven't looked back since. But I've always wanted to make the products better. I've always wanted to enhance. Ever since I started using the products, I wanted to enhance them and make them better, and we've done a good job of doing that. Listen, a lot of people that are watching this show, you already know about the product, but those of you that are new to the show, I can tell you with the utmost confidence, there has never been a more revolutionary product to improve public health in this entire world. Yeah. Listen, this is so important, which it's so easy to wrap your mind around. Okay. And it's so easy to explain to people. Elimination of the inhalation of smoke. Elimination of the inhalation of smoke and introducing the inhalation of vapor, right? Nicotine, right? Through combustion, we know cigarette smokers 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Here at Whitehorse Vapor, we've converted thousands, 20, 30,000 smokers through our 8 stores. We at one time had 8 stores nationally, okay? I am telling you that the product is one of the best inventions that mankind has ever come up with.
So you say that you had 8 stores at one point nationally. What brought the pair down?
Well, we've lost 3 here in Rhode Island, so wow. We're down to 1. We have a store in Columbus, Ohio. We have a store in Texas that recently is most likely going to shut down. But we've had a couple others that they just didn't work out. But we're going to be expanding ourselves here again soon. We're not going to quit. We're not going to stop what we strongly believe in. We know, because listen, the customers don't want us to stop, right? So, for example, the store that I'm sitting in here now is in North Providence, Rhode Island, and there's real brand loyalty here, and there's some real experiences, true experiences of decade-long smokers that have quit smoking, have turned to vaping, and they've seen nothing but dramatic improvements on their health.
Let me ask you about your colleagues that are out
Mhm.
there. Are they hit the same, as hard across all of the country? I mean, what have you been seeing in terms of the impact of the bans and all the bad media? We'll talk COVID in a second, but with everything pre-COVID, how bad was it?
Pre-COVID, pre-COVID was, we were moving along okay. I mean, things were moving along. I mean, there was a disruption in the industry, as you know, with the banning of pod flavors, but that actually it was a benefit for a lot of independent store owners, right? And it allowed a lot of new brands to enter the marketplace. Um, so and I think we were on a real rebuild there. And COVID, now that it's not even about being open or about even commercing or servicing the customer. It's now just about, in some states, just being open. And that to me is, I just can't fathom that. Luckily, we're able to be open in some capacity. We're forced to have a curbside checkout or have a drive-through scenario. But I can't think of anything more essential than than a vapor product in today's day and age, when we know that there's a lung illness that's running through the streets of America. I just don't understand it.
So with regards to COVID, I mean, has it been a death blow, do you think? I mean, is it recoverable coming out of COVID, a new normal?
I think so. No, I think we can bounce back. We got to work harder than ever. Any industry professionals that are watching this right now, you have a short window of time between now and September to make a real mark and a real impression on this industry. But beyond all that, listen, there's going to be supply chain issues. There's going to be delivery issues, a whole host but every business is going to be going through this. I can't express to you enough, during downtime that we're in now. I'm in downtime right now. Usually our store is open till 8:30 at night. We're closed at 6:30. Right now, more than ever, is the time to express yourself, to be yourself, to carry your story, to get involved in PR. For example, Regulator Watch. I'm not just saying this just because I'm on your show right now, Brent, but Regulator Watch is such a good tool that we should be utilizing. I don't believe that there's any better method to do that than to touch the consumer. We have never put a real strategy together to activate the consumer. The consumer loves these products. They love these products. Remember, we survived this industry. The consumer, right, remember that the psyche of the consumer is so important. Okay, the consumer has survived adolescent use, right? Back in the summer of last year, right? With teenagers using the product, right? They wasn't using products that we sell here in the store, but they were using a lot of Juul products. Okay, we survived Diwali, flavor bans, and now we're into COVID, and the consumer still wants the product. That is so strong. Let's unleash the consumer right now, and let's keep vape going as strong as possible, because it's been a real savior for a lot of people.
Well, and that's true. And I mean, let me ask you just the one answer question. Does vaping save lives? Does vaping save lives?
Undoubtedly.
Okay. So let's park that answer for a little bit, because
we belong. Listen, you belong, right? You belong on what's the name of the show in London? What's the name of the
London Real?
London Real. So in London right now, in the UK, there's carved out space, right, inside of hospitals for retail stores. You belong in London, speaking to London Real. You deserve an hour documentary.
It's a good show. What I'd be doing was talking about you guys all the time, though.
Oh, great. But in here, it's the polar opposite here in America. And it just, the public needs to be awakened to this stuff.
Well, there's no doubt. Look, there needs to be inside, at London Real, a lot of the our colleagues online that are obviously much bigger than RegWatch, because we're so zoomed in and focused on one particular thing. But yeah, it would be great to be on like Ruben or Rogan or London Real and, any of those shows, because so many people watch that. And because people who are watching those shows are already open-minded to a degree, I think there's an opportunity to move some thinking there. Because, quite frankly, a lot of open-minded people seem to stubbornly have a closed mind towards vaping.
And unfortunately, that's the case. I know that last spring, we ran a 5K here. The staff here at Whitehorse, we participated in a 5K in a small town outside of Providence called East Providence. And I came in 12th, but some of my coworkers here, they came in 17th, 25th, 28th. We were up against non-smokers, non-vapors, and we placed well. There's no doubt about it. There's huge health improvements from quitting combustible cigarettes and making the switch to vape products, legitimate vape products.
Good point there on the legitimate side. You mentioned supporting RegWatch, and now you've become a supporter of ours at Whitehorse Vapors. And one of the things that you did was so innovative because, we don't really link into retail that often. One of the reasons why we've turned down these kinds of conversations, can we do a product line, that kind of thing? And we can't get that close to product. Like we can't do we just can't, because there would be so many people that wouldn't come on our show because of that connection. Or we're obviously on side vaping. And while we're science-based and we're fair, I mean, clearly, our position is that vaping saves lives, and we cover the issue from that point of view. If you're mainstream media, you believe that human beings are destroying the planet through climate change, and there's no room for the other side. So I guess on our side, we believe vaping saves lives, and we're skeptical of those who say otherwise, though we will still report that. Difference between us and mainstream news. Mm-hmm. But so you're executing a program at your retail store where people can, give a few bucks at POS, and you guys did a video, and I want to show that for our viewers right now.
Hey, Brett, Whitehorse Vapor here. Joey's behind the camera.
How's it going? It's Joey from marketing.
Thank you so much for what you do for our industry. Here in North Providence, we recently had to transition to a drive-through scenario due to COVID, obviously. So we got these pylons up. Donate every transaction. We're asking our customers, donate $1 to Regular Watch and Brett Stafford, to you. You are a very reputable source, and everything you do for our industry is amazing, and we can't thank you enough. Here we have a banner. Every single transaction. Christina.
Hi, here's Christina, and we're supporting Regular Watch, and we're asking every transaction to donate $1 or more.
Nice. And here we are. You are always playing in our store, Brett. We got you on the loudspeaker, so we always know. You can come on over, Dara. Come on over. Dara. Vape store owners, now more than ever, we need to support Brett and Regulator Watch. It's crucial. There's so much bad information about our industry, about the product we sell, about the people that we have saved. There's too much bad information. We need Regulator Watch and other industry advocates like him. We need to support them as much as possible right now. It's a do or die scenario more than ever. Even online, we can do this.
I'm Dara. I take care of all the online orders at Whitehorse, and we're asking customers to donate at every transaction.
There you go. Let's band together and do this. Can't wait. Thanks so much, Brett. You're the best. You're amazing. Thank you.
And thank you, my friend. That was a fantastic video and program. How's it going so far?
It's going well, but that's just a small snapshot of what we'd like to see happen. I mean, we'd like to see every vape store in America do that. Times that by 5,000, Brent. What's that do to your show?
Well, that does a lot. It means that we're hiring producers and editors, and we can quadruple our coverage, plus get publicists to start pushing us out to everybody, all the other shows that we should be on. I've done thousands of hours of media interviews on every other topic known to man, except for vaping. Because we are the vaping voice, and nobody really wants the strong vaping advocate voice. And I'm not an advocate, right? I might sound like one on TV, but I'm not an advocate. I'm a commentary, and I can explain it from a non-advocate position. So,
all right. Well, what we need in this industry is some strong PR, right? Yeah. To debunk all the bad misinformation out there. We are up against the front that is so strong, that has a lot of big interest, right? And these are publicly traded companies, all right. This is not, they're not playing small ball, all right. And you know what? And you know who's even, I even think about this sometimes. You know, he is even just as guilty of liking cigarettes just as much as the users of cigarettes. And that's, it could be 401k holders, it could be retirements are wrapped up in these Fortune 500 companies, both on the pharmaceutical side and on the tobacco side. We are fighting some serious fronts, but the customer still wants our product.
Well, and I
The
mean,
customer wants vape more than ever before.
sure. And isn't this
Hey, hold on. I'm sorry, Brett. I'm sorry. I just got to add this. I made a bet with Madison Malloy that works. She's been working for our company for 4 years now. We made a bet when COVID-19 was hot off the press, smoking hot off the press. And I don't, no pun intended, right? When it was hot off the press about 5 weeks ago, and literally everyone around us literally thought the world was about to come to an end. Madison and I looked at each other, and I said, and she knew I was thinking something. I said, Madison, I'm going to bet you lunch right now. At Rite Aid Pharmacy, like a CVS or Walgreens, Nicorette gum, is it sold out off the shelves or is it fully stocked? You know what Madison said? She said, fully stocked. Nobody wants it. Me, I actually said, I think maybe that this might be a good opening for Nicorette gum. Maybe they might start selling some gum again. I took a ride down to Rite Aid. I have it on video. I posted it in the private vape group, and the shelves are fully stocked. The user does not want Nicorette gum. The user does not want Chantix. The user wants vape products. They want flavored vape products. That's what they want.
Well, and that's because they're actually consuming nicotine as opposed to using some quasi-pharmaceutical device to get them off nicotine. And I mean, I've always said this personally for myself. I enjoy my nicotine habit. I mean, you know, it can be a nasty little habit sometimes, but, you know, I nurture it. I suckle it. I love nicotine, you know. And
it's a wonderful drug.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful drug. It really, and it may be uncomfortable for some of the viewers to hear that, but it really is. And I mean, to be honest with you, I think it inspires a lot of creativity. I think use of the drug in the appropriate fashion, the appropriate delivery method. I think it's here. How about this? We love caffeine, right? We love Starbucks coffee every morning, right? Well, nicotine has got a bad image about itself, or it's thought about in negative connotation constantly because it's you know, accompanied with a combustible cigarette, or you know, it's not the case anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that the whole nicotine issue is a missed opportunity. I'd like to get your thoughts on this, because the fact is that tobacco harm reduction is not working as a message. I mean, what happens all the time is that vapors for years now have been saying vaping saves lives. Vaping saves lives. They've been making that argument. Tobacco harm reduction, going to save 400,000, you know, people in the U.S. a year are dying. We can save a huge chunk of those. Same thing in the UK and in Canada. Vaping saves lives, and there's good research to prove that. But tobacco control, people in public health that make the decisions, just shrug their shoulders and go, we don't care.
I don't care.
We don't care. And so that malevolence of not caring, there's got to be something behind that. And obviously, clearly, tobacco harm reduction is not a winning argument. So was there a missed opportunity some years ago to argue for nicotine, access to nicotine as a recreational drug? Because that seems to me that's what it is in a cigarette. And why couldn't that have been the argument, or still be the argument now? Instead, nicotine's been demonized to a point where, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, back to what you just mentioned. You mentioned that they know it and they don't care. We need to make them care. And the way you make them care is by unleashing the consumer. We need to unleash the consumer. We need to survey the consumer. We ran a survey just a week before COVID, right? Really start taking a real grip on society. We surveyed 300 of our customers, and we asked them, since you quit smoking and started vaping, have you been sick more often, less often, or no change? 80% said they've been, 80% answered that they've been sick less often. 80%. Since the next question was, so since you've quit smoking and you started vaping, the times that you were sick. So when, I don't know how long you've been a vapor for, Brent, but I haven't smoked a cigarette in 7 years. And in 7 years, I've been sick. I've gotten the flu, not as much as I used to, or I used to get a lot of sore throats. My sister actually died of cancer at 10. She had a very a rare cancer of the lymph node. Okay, lymph nodes. So I've always had. The doctors wanted to take my tonsils out at 32 years old, which is a very risky surgery at that age. So I've been sick since I've quit smoking and started vaping. 80%, 79. I remember the number, 79.4%, and I can show it to you. It's on our Facebook feed, Whitehorse Vapor. 79.4% answered that they literally vaped while they were sick. You can never do that when you were a smoker. That's the last thing you can ever think of when you were a smoker.
Oh, absolutely. And
right?
there was in 2015 when we first onboarded this file. I remember distinctly this Mayo Clinic study, which we actually reported on in one of our very first pieces on vaping. And it was from the cardiology department, and it was talking about how they found that it was very efficacious to give e-cigarettes to smokers to use pre-heart surgery and post-heart surgery in order for them to recover, because the anxiety of the withdrawal from nicotine can make complications in surgery deadly,
Sure.
and can make recovery from surgery for heart surgery deadly. So they went, well, let's try to give them some e-cigarettes. And this was this Mayo Clinic study showing how this was very efficacious to do that. And then I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 months in to 2016, and things were just boiling up, harder. And that study disappeared. I'll tell you that right now. Gone.
They're doing it now. They're placing patches on people with COVID now. It was just a story that came out about that a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that's interesting. We've got John Britton will be on tomorrow. Professor John Britton. He's the former chair of the Royal College of Physicians Tobacco Committee, which basically they're the ones that brought all of the researchers and all the research together. Public Health England, University of Nottingham, Stirling, everything from all across Europe, brought all of it together, and they issued the 2016 Nicotine Without Smoke report from the Royal College of Physicians. And that's the report that nailed the argument for vaping as a tool for harm reduction. And the Royal College of Physicians in that report talked all about the 95%. It was in fact actually in the RCP report where the 95% had first crystallized into that number. So it's going to be very interesting to have them on. One of the things I'm getting them to talk about is this convergence between, maybe an irony between nicotine and COVID. And could it actually be that there could be, nicotine could help save lives through COVID?
And that'd really be something, right?
Yep. The thing is, though, and I just warn our viewers that part of the endeavor here is that we can't just pick the science we like. So either science, we always, focus in on the junk science, but are we skeptical enough about the science that seems to support the message? And that's one of the questions I'll be throwing at Professor Britton, because he's at the top of that chain, and to find out what exactly he thinks of it. Let me ask you this, Dino. Do you think anti-vaping forces are capitalizing on COVID in order to further their effort to destroy vaping?
Undoubtedly.
Well, then how so? How are they doing it?
Well, I mean, there was discussion in New York about literally banning vape products during the outbreak of COVID, right? And there was Governor Cuomo had asked the drug companies to reduce their prices on nicotine gum. We saw that, right? Undoubtedly, and you can see even right now that there's an attempt to grow the vaccination through tobacco leaves, tobacco plants, which I actually think part of that's actually just speaks more to the benefits of the drug itself, right? So we can use that to our advantage in some areas, but not altogether. I just want to mention one other thing too. Tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo, right? The 5th of May, when all us gringos all want to be Mexican for a day and drink margaritas. And I'm getting off topic of the science and the medicine part that we were just talking about. But
go, brother, go.
I'm gonna roll with it. Okay. Tomorrow, Cinco de Mayo. We want to flash our Bud Light margaritas on social. We want to flash our margaritas, hang out with my girls or hang out with my boys. Good quarantine margaritas. Flash your vapes. Come out of the closet. if you're a user of these products and you quit smoking, it runs rampant amongst the industry. It runs rampant amongst the consumers. Okay, if you quit smoking and you started vaping, and you have not touched a cigarette in however long, and we all know that there's been a huge health improvement since you stopped smoking. Flash those, especially during times like this. Flash those. That's fine. We can celebrate Cinco de Mayo tomorrow. However, we need to start celebrating this product.
So, and I agree. Do you think, though, that people should...
Alcohol's a bigger killer. Are you kidding me?
Remember, they don't care. They don't care. They don't care. Look, here's how much they care about the vaping consumer and that argument. They care as much about the vaping consumer and the argument about saving lives as they do about Western civilization, individual rights for freedom to move. What can I do with my body? I should be able to have the right to take my body and move it somewhere. You can't right now because we're in, lockdown. I should be able to have my body be close to another body without government telling me how far bodies should be apart. But they do that, and they don't care. Now, I should be able to take my body and decide what to put in my body. Now, that's a vaping issue, but guess what? The COVID thing, that totally kills that. We have zero control over our bodies in any way possible. Now, then try to use your body to voice dissent on that issue, and you're crushed. So I'm not sure how vapors are even going to be able to mount any kind of a fight here when we have COVID has completely destroyed all liberty about what you can do with your body.
Well, I believe that. I believe we can mount a fight. I think we need to, as an industry, if you are, I mentioned it earlier, if you're a store owner, if you are a brand owner, if you are a distributor, or wherever you land in this industry, tap into your customer base. Tap into your customer base and ask them to join you. But we need real strategy, right? I asked a friend of mine to come on to watch this show tonight, Giovanni Feroci. He's former CEO of Alex and Ani, and he's a brand builder like I've never seen before. And I try to watch much of his teaching as I can. But in all of his tutorial, right, he always preaches strategy. It's and pick what you want to do and work backwards. And this industry needs to start doing that. And there's no better part of our industry to do that with than our customers. What do we want our customers to do, and work backwards? And how do we get there? And I don't think it's that hard. We've got about 3-4 months that we really can make a big impact here, whether it's through surveying of COVID, how we fare through COVID, how vapors fare through COVID. I can't wait to just rub it into all the bad politicians out there and all the naysayers. I can't wait to rub it into your face on how well we fared during COVID. It actually made us stronger. If you really want me to get really deep and down, I really believe that nicotine makes us stronger, okay?
It could be one of the reasons.
The same way Starbucks makes claims that, well, they don't make claims, but there's so much talk from the coffee industry about how caffeine and coffee is such a great antioxidant for the body. Well, if you look at nicotine, you look at caffeine, and you put them right beside each other, just about the same.
We've made the argument before from a historical point of view that that the classic British Enlightenment, so not the French Enlightenment, but the one that came out of the UK, which is where the founding fathers come from, which is the foundation of America, which comes from England. That's the mother country. And, the Enlightenment there was really driven by caffeine, tobacco, and sugar. I mean, they're thinking drugs, and not in the way like pot is. Well, pot's great for whatever it does, I've been told. But, nicotine, though, it sharpens you, it activates you, you get stuff done. And so you put that with coffee and a little bit of sugar, and you've got the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, you got what's the name of that movie? What was the one? Where he took the pill? And I forgot the name of the movie. It was a good one, though.
Right. Yeah, they turned it into a TV show after, too.
Maybe it was great. That flick was awesome.
Yeah, it was a good one. Yeah, it was a good one. So, okay, so let me ask you this, because you mentioned the customers. You mentioned that you have a strong faith in them, which I can understand that. So let me ask you what...
They have a strong faith. They have a strong faith in me.
Well, there you go.
They have a strong faith in me.
So let me ask you this. To what level do your customers understand the war on vaping?
They're starting to understand. Well, I mean, they understand it pretty well. I mean, we asked our customers to rush our store back in late September of 2019 to stock up for 4 months because as a temporary flavor ban was going into effect. So they have a pretty good understanding, and we are constantly doing our best to educate our customers. It doesn't matter how busy or how slow or steady it can be. We're constantly doing our best to inform our customers of current events and current breakthroughs for our product, and by the way, current setbacks as well.
We do. I mean, we've heard it. And just to press the point for a sec, is that we've heard all the time. We hear that not even a surprise, but just they just don't know. Like the vast majority of vapors just don't know there's a flavor ban coming. They just don't know PMTA is coming. That kind of thing.
They don't, and you have to learn. And they are willing to participate if they're willing to still visit our stores, our e-commerce platforms. If they're willing to do this during COVID-19. Right? How many times? Okay, here I've worked in just about every potential front end retail scenario possible in store. I've had a store inside of a casino before. I've had a store in Dallas, Texas. I've had a store in Columbus, Ohio. I've had a store in Rhode Island. Several stores in Rhode Island. Right? And I've done massive amounts of events. I've interacted so many times, and so is our staff. Not just me. I'm not the only one doing it. If it wasn't for our staff, I wouldn't be able to be speaking to you right now. Okay, but we have encountered so many smokers, right? And they all sing the same exact tune. And I know that many of you that are watching that are vape store owners, you have heard the same dialogues. They know that there's clamps being placed down on us from the higher above. They know it. They know what's the first thing that a customer says when there's a threat of possible taxation or possible flavor ban. They always say, which I don't totally believe, but they always blame it on that's big tobacco. We're cutting into MSA money, tax money to the state. We're interrupting. We're a big disruptor to cigarettes or to Nicorette gum. We always hear that dialogue. The customer knows it. We don't even have to inform them. We keep informing as much as possible, but we don't have to do as much as we think we do because they're smart enough to understand. The same way society is smart enough to understand the social distance, is the same way that society is smart enough to make heads and tails out about smoking and vaping.
Well, you, my friend, have just walked right into it. And that is the question. Do you think the COVID response is proportionate or is it overblown?
I mean, I have friends of mine that have contracted COVID. I have friends of friends that have died from COVID. It's tough for me. I don't want to be disrespectful. Some of my customers may have COVID. I don't think the majority of my customers have COVID, like some Department of Health officials have claimed and made false information about. I think we're smarter than what we're given credit for as a society, and definitely as business owners. There's no way that if you're a business owner and you're a business owner in any facet, right? So you don't want to infect your customers. You want to preserve your customers. So I believe that if you had 20 customers wanting to get into your store tomorrow, and there's still COVID cases that are being contracted, and there's deaths from COVID as we speak, I'm sure you don't want to make matters worse. So you're going to take every possible measure to do the best job you can. So
Sure.
I believe that there absolutely is. We've been tossed into COVID I've nipped it in the bud as much as I could locally, but unfairly we've been tossed into the COVID-19 conversation way too many times.
So we're just going to ease past it. I'm sure we'll scrape by it again, but let me ask you, back to vaping. Some hate to admit it, but the battle over vaping is soaked in politics. At least the enmity seems to be coming solely from one direction. Let's parse that out. You know, where is the political hate for vaping coming from? It's coming from one direction, is it not?
Well, I mean, Governor Baker of Massachusetts is Republican.
There's always a
Raimondo.
progressive Republican out there. There's always a progressive Republican out there. They're called rhinos. They're called rhinos.
Not the kind of rhinos that I like. I don't know. One of my favorite books is Rhinoceros Success. And no.
But come on, we've got, I mean, all the majority of vaping bans all come from one direction, right?
Yes. Yeah. Seems to be that's the trend that's the trend that seems to be happening the most. Yeah.
So what's that direction?
It comes from the Democratic side. Yeah.
So why? I mean, why do Democrats have a hate on vaping? I think that's a very valid conversation to have because we're trying to combat that and change that perspective. Why do they hate vaping so much?
They're very reliant. I mean, it's just it could be just coincidence, but a lot of the states that are making such abrasive moves against vaping are usually states that are in trouble financially. It could be a big part of it. Sure. And maybe they're the ones that are most that are more apt to be influenced. You know, it could be it.
And then you've got all of the nonprofit groups too as well. They don't lean conservative. You can be certain of that. So you campaign for tobacco.
Here, how about this one? Here, I'll give you one. Okay, all right. So at just about every public hearing testimony at the State House or the Department of Health, okay, either or here locally in Rhode Island, and I think Massachusetts as well. Very important to understand this. There's a sign-up sheet when you walk in. It's pro or against, right? Yes or no. So all us vapors all obviously show up in not supporting a flavor ban or taxation, right, of our products. And then you see the sign-up sheet. There's like literally 14 check marks compared to 70 on our side. The 14 check marks are majority no, it's all the time. I've even mentioned this in some of my testimony. It is officials that are part of our government, or they are part of a foundation, American Heart, American Lung, or it is bust-in children that range from the age of 14 to 17 years of age, that are still sometimes 18, but not rarely years of age, and are still in high school. That's not enough to shackle these products the way that they have in some of these deranged states. It's just not proper.
Deranged Democrats in deranged states. That's good. Look, hey, let's make sure that we're clear about this, that public health is a progressive movement. It's not neutral. There is a fundamental position that public health has. And nothing less than believing that their job is to help engineer a better human being. And that's one of the reasons why they want people to stop smoking. They're willing to use force to do that. That's why they're willing to use force to shut down the vaping industry. And lies. I mean, they really don't care. They're unbelievable. Endless. It's just, you look at Stanton Glantz and his research. I mean, there's so many problems with his research. It's unbelievable. Yet the journals keep publishing this stuff and the government keeps giving them millions of dollars. So, clearly there's something going on here. There's more than just, it's more than just big tobacco trying to keep their market share, or it's more than just pharma trying to keep their NRT money. It's more than just the states looking to get out of their, MSA and their bond mess, right? We're talking about something ideological that's going on here.
We need to break our way in. You got to break your way in. We need a PR push. We need a PR movement. You're not gonna. We're past the point of trying to do this with honey. You need to jump in there and get. And it doesn't. Listen, this doesn't mean we have to be violent. It doesn't mean that we have to, rage and protest. Right? We need to start buying ad space. We need publicists. We need to get our message, our story out there. We have so many, the momentum is on our side. We have so many believers in the product, but they don't see enough of them. They don't see them. They don't have to face that encounter enough. They
So
can't just face that encounter just on the day of test that they're taking public testimony. That's not enough.
No,
That's
it's not enough. No, it's not enough. And I mean, and quite frankly, as I was saying before, there seems to be, the same lack of care that public health has today about the economic catastrophe that the response to the coronavirus has caused. Whether you think it was worth it or not, the fact is that millions will die. I mean, the UN said 10 days ago that up to 60 million children will die in the next 18 months as a result of the poverty that's brought on directly from this response. That has nothing to do with the almost 30 million unemployed Americans. I mean, we're going to see businesses just not opening. I mean, and closing after a tough start. This and the lack of care about that impact feels to me the same shrugging of the shoulders that public health does to vapors when vapors say vaping saves lives.
It's not a laughing matter, but you heard Governor Cuomo. Governor Cuomo, right? Governor Cuomo. I'm sure you've played the clip many a times on your show. Yes, quitting smoking and inhaling vapor is proven to be safer, but so what?
That's right.
That's what he said.
I know that's what he said.
If you can't, viewers, keep just replaying that in your mind over and over again.
Now do that when you're protesting to be let out of your cage, because we still have to be let free. I mean, we still have to be let free. Think about that.
You want to hear about free and freedom? One of the best times I've ever had in my entire life, ever, was the DC rally back in November. The best time I've ever had with a whole, we all banded together, bunch of industry leaders, owners of small business, medium business, large business. There's, some huge outfits out there. The after parties were great. That's so much fun. I was, and just speaking of that is the people that I love the New England Patriots. I know that some of you may hate to hear that, but Tom Brady's gone, so I guess it's okay now to love the New England Patriots again, right? Because you're probably not going to win like we used to. But those are my idols. I love the Patriots. I love the Patriot run. I love the Red Sox. Forget it. It's over. I'm single issue, single interest. I've been that way for a while, but now more than ever, because it's so important right now. My idols are someone like you, Brent Stafford. My good friend Cosmo Anu, which is one of the best manufacturers in this industry, and is still doing a great job amidst COVID. John Glauser from Demand Vape. Mike Runche. We drafted a bill here in Rhode Island that the governor totally didn't want to listen to. She just went ahead and drafted her executive order in the middle of the night. Troy LeBlanc in Louisville, right? These are the people that I idolize. And this is what we all need to come together, and we need to, like you're seeing this rally here. We need to do this. We need to do this again. We need some live entertainment. We need some live bands. We need to kick some ass and have a lot of fun. The same way cannabis does. Snoop Dogg is up there jamming out, getting high on stage, rapping. Millions of people are watching it, via online and social or even in person. I mean, they're rocking out. They're having a great time. And they had this same challenge back 10 years ago, and they got through it. And that's what we need to do. That right there, what you're showing is one of the most fun. It was the most fun I ever had. It was so much fun. Blast.
I mean, it was definitely good, and RegWatch was definitely happy to be there, no doubt. And it's too bad. Obviously, COVID derailed another one that was going to be held, actually, I don't know, any day now. I think it was May 8th or 9th or something like that. So that is definitely a downed soldier. Let me ask you this. So it seems to me that people inside the industry that have been doing the advocating, and a lot of those are obviously vapors, right? Foot soldier vapors and so forth. But the advocacy efforts have seemed to be an effort that shies away from making the liberty argument. And I mean, it's almost painful. And certainly with the polarization within the country, you know, at the national level, and then COVID has polarized, as amazingly as that is. And so, you know, what we're seeing here, and in COVID, if you're pro-lockdown, you're essentially, you're pro-removing liberties away from people. So if you believe lockdowns save lives, I don't see how you can also believe that vaping saves lives. They're incompatible positions to have, because one is all about making sure you have the liberty to put what you want in your own body. The other one says you and the rest of Western civilization have no rights over any part of your body, where it goes, who it hangs around with, what it does, what it says. You have no rights. So if you're a vapor with the lockdown save lives, how do you embrace the liberty argument? And before COVID, you already hated the liberty argument. So where does vaping go if you can't make a liberty argument?
I could say something now. I'm sorry, Brent. I kind of like people locked down in their house and using their vape as much as possible. I'm just joking.
No, that's okay. I mean, but it's a serious question though, because I mean, there is no liberty right now for 1 billion people. Some are being let free a little bit in staggered releases, but you know, I don't even know how anybody who is let free is really free, when knowing that some unelected public health person, who's the same public health agency, and in some cases the same people that hate vaping and that have been trying to destroy vaping, and they're the ones deciding whether or not you can go free. And, you know, so I mean, are you really free? I mean, I don't know if there's freedom anymore under public health.
Yeah, it's, you know, it turns political at that point, I believe. And I think that there are some correlations that just really do hold true. You know, I believe that, you know, there's protesters showing up with guns strapped to their shoulders and at certain state houses. I guess that correlates well with government trying to take your vape away. But for me, like, I'm so single issue, really. I just, all I care about is at this point in time, when it comes to politics or the liberty fight, or it's really just about preserving our rights to not smoke cigarettes anymore and to use vape products or life-saving vape products.
So, and I mean, I do get that, right? So, you know, where I'm trying to get at here is that how can there be room for that? The single issue is understandable, right? But the issue really is liberty. I mean, that really is it. Your right to do with your body what you believe, you know, is right.
Your personal freedom. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So then, so pre-COVID, don't even put COVID in there. And I'm not even certain why this needs to be quote unquote a political thing. I mean, maybe it's the sheer fact that the entire opposition is progressive and Democrat. I mean, you know, 13 senators writing letters once a month to the FDA. I mean, that there's no Republicans signed on to those letters, right? And it's really clear it's coming from one side. So so they've made it political, and because they've made it political, and there's a lot of vapors that politically side with that side on a lot of issues. So what's happened is that it's neutered vapors from fighting because they're incapable of making the liberty argument, which is the only winning argument.
I agree with that. Yeah, personal choice, and I believe that, you know, your personal freedom to you know, choose as you wish. And I guess, you know, it's been tossed around a lot in the media lately from some politicians about right to try. I don't know why the right to try vaping isn't, you know, brought up more, but you know, never mind. I'm not going political. I want to go.
Well, and we both know the bomb of political question is coming soon here. So we're getting there. We're about 15 minutes left here.
Listen, Barack Obama, you want it? Listen, I'm not any fan. Okay. Barack Obama, he was the last president to shoot down any sort of flavor ban.
Well, that's not technically true because Trump did, you know, walk back the flavor ban that he put out
He
there.
banned flavors though, but he made a ban on flavors. He made a ban
Yeah,
on vape
it's
products.
true. He did. He did affect flavors. Well, look, let's do that then. Just the last bit of the show.
But if Trump's going to be the guy, and he swears right hand up that he's never going to touch our Vapors vape products, our customers, my customer, Whitehorse Vapors vape products, we'll put his name on every vape package possible. Literally, stamp it. Trump for president. Trump for president.
Now,
if Biden's going to do it. Okay.
Well, Biden has already said, ban vaping. There's not enough science. We have to wait for more science.
And ban him. He's got to go.
So then let's get our idea moving forward here. We're at the start of May. There's very little time left. Vapors do need to start thinking about what they can do to activate around the presidential election. Should this be it? If you are a single issue voter, should the industry just not throw it all in behind Trump?
I believe that if Trump, if Tony Abood, which is another one of my idols, if Tony Abood reassures this industry that Trump actually absolutely will protect our vaping rights, then I think there's a real conversation for that.
And now for our viewers,
strong stance, way strong,
right.
big time strong, massive.
So that's Tony Abood from the Vapor Technology Association, VTA.
Oh, just that guy.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. So absolutely. So this is good. So if Tony hears this, or if anybody obviously is watching, gets a chance to ping Tony, let them know that Dino Baccari on RegWatch threw that down, and let's find out if he would get behind that. Now, he was just on our show a couple weeks ago, last week actually. God, time is just going by, and I do know that he mentioned some favorable stuff in terms of the fact that it does appear to be the president being the one that would be supportive of this industry, because he has essentially been supportive of the industry.
Yes, for the most part, yes, he has.
So I guess the question will be is how do you convince a vast number of vapors in the millions to...
I also don't, just real quick, I also do not think that, I do not believe that Donald Trump, he's stated it numerous times in the past, he does not love nicotine. He strongly opposes it. He doesn't drink alcohol. He doesn't wish for his children to drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes. So it's not like, he's an advocate for vape products. So I don't even think he really even totally sees through the idea how much safer they are than cigarettes. But I do believe that he likes to protect small business.
But here's the irony. It's the progressive left that's all the fun. Legalize marijuana, let's have Manhattans, let's drink, let's hang out, let's party. But then when it comes time to nicotine, they're like...
Because they know the power of the drug, man.
Yeah. So I'll take Trump and his teetotaling any day, because he wants to keep the government out of these kinds of decisions. Whereas the people that are all the fun people, by the way, the left is the one that got us addicted to nicotine. They're the ones that own the media. They own movies. They own films. They own television. They own the narrative. They own advertising. Who was making all that advertising with the smoking in the 50s? It wasn't a bunch of right-wing evangelical Christians. It's the left. They made smoking cool.
I mean, Hollywood. Yeah, Hollywood. Totally.
Yeah, the Hollywood did. Yeah, Hollywood's left. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's wrap this up with what you think customers can do, vapors can do to help in this fight. There's very little time left.
I believe that, a small example is transaction donations per transaction, donate per transaction. We see major retailers do it each and every day of our buying lives. I mean, you see it at CVS, Walgreens, Lowe's, Home Depot. By the way, Home Depot has gotten way too much press. I just felt guilty of mentioning Home Depot. We keep mentioning Home Depot. You hear it all over the news. But anyways, forget Home Depot. So but transaction donations, I think, are very helpful to a mission like yours, Brent, Regulator Watch. I think that if we scale that, I think it can be very beneficial for all of us. PR is so important. I think we need to ask our consumers, right, our customers, We need to ask them to come out of the closet, come out, and don't be afraid of it. I can't tell you how many customers that have asked me. We have a very, very good rate of recording transactions at our stores, but I can't tell you how many customers that have expressed to us, please don't email me. I don't want my wife to know that I vape. I don't want and that's going to be tough, right? I don't want my husband to know that I vape. I don't want my job. They come in, and I don't want my job to know that I vape. They have their uniform on. But we got to we can't stop trying to ask the consumer to open up about the products. They are the same way they open up about Bud Light, Miller Lite, and Tito's vodka openly. When you look at Tito's vodka, literally on the collar of the bottle. And I was a bartender for years, and I drink, and I like to drink. I just don't drink too much. But I don't like the way alcohol is glorified and glamorized and throughout our day-to-day lives. But on the collar of the bottle, if you look at a Tito's bottle, it's the collar, right? This cardboard cutout says it is the official dog vodka for America. Like what? It's like dog, like your pet dog of America. They're the official vodka for dog owners.
Okay, I think you're a bit off there right at the end. So I think I'm going to pull you back for a second, Dino.
Oh.
Okay. You've got the dog vodka thing. I that lost me. So what was the point there?
Well, Tito's vodka is a very notable brand, right, in the world, right? On the collar of each bottle, they're the official pet dog owner, whatever it is, for dog lovers.
Okay, so relate. So
no,
you have 10 seconds to relate that to vaping, or I'm moving on.
Well, I mean, you've got politicians that literally, are seeking flavor bans day in and day out, and at the end of every testimony that the public is coming out to a hearing for, afterwards, are having a Tito soda and with cranberry and lime.
Right.
It's total contradiction. That's the point.
Okay, so like pointing out the hypocrisy of the left is like really banging your head against the wall. I mean, if it wasn't for double standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all. And that is to my very good friend, Chris Plank at WMAL in Washington. So Dino, let me just do this for a second. And I want to know, you've got all of these posters and stuff that you've so generously put together and some good artwork too as well. Would you be able to give those to us? And I guess if anybody wanted to contact you or us to do the same kind of POS thing that you've put together, would you be so kind to help facilitate that?
Of course I would.
That'd be great.
It's our pleasure.
And I think most people know how to get a hold of you. I think it's not that hard. You're on Facebook. They can find you. You can reach me. I'll have the files too as well. But for you and I didn't do a lot of interaction on making that happen because that's exactly the way I wanted it, because the more conversations RegWatch is having with regard to putting our brand in retail and stuff like that, that should just kind of happen as opposed to, me doing too much planning, because the more that, we're touching that spot, then the more difficult it gets. Like I said, you guys know the quality of interviews we've had. Nobody's had the quality interviews that we've had consistently over the years. John Britton, when he's on tomorrow, this is his third appearance on RegWatch. So, if you track through all of the top people that are, researching on this side of the issue, they come on the show for a reason, and we protect them. Their episodes, we don't put our supporters' logos on and all that and we've done that since day one. So they won't, so opposition can't get screen caps and then throw them out in their stupid, little newsletters and stuff like that, and then say, look, here's, the brand X over top of, Linda Bald, that kind of thing. So, and our supporters know that. And I want to thank our supporters so much, because for over 5 years now, we've been doing that, and it's been a targeted strategy, which has worked. But yet, those videos, aren't able to give love to our supporters, and our supporters have been fantastic because, of course, they make it happen. And, so can you. And just head over to support.regulatorwatch.com. And that's support.regulatorwatch.com. And this is our support microsite. And on here, there's, basic stuff. You're just really easy. We promote fact-based science, counter misperceptions, destigmatize nicotine, which we did a lot of today, or at least, we evangelized it. And then we hold researchers, regulators, and reporters to account. And we do that with top-end television. Nobody else is doing that. And our credibility is unmatched in the industry. And so you can just head to our form. This is our Stripe form. You can do a recurring monthly. You can do one time or monthly reoccurring. It's very easy. You sign up, and what happens with this is that you'll end up getting a receipt back that you can use for your business, your company, if you have one, and you can use it as a marketing write-off expense. And that comes from Shaky A Communications, our parent company, which I wholly own. And if you jump in and, kick in some dollars that make a difference on a monthly basis, we'll get your logo up here. And actually, we need to get yours up here, Dino, as well. Actually, I want to get your video up here too as well. So join these great guys like Dino and the rest and help us scale this thing. You're already seeing more content coming out from us, and that's because we've scaled. We've brought on some part-time producing help, and that's just a little bit of help. If we can get a bit more, we can bust this. Dino.
I can tell you one other thing too. Any store owners, or and this could be in-store or online, either or. I'm telling you that the more you for the transaction donations, the more you ask, the more you train your staff on it, and just get them used to asking at every transaction. If you can even come up with an alert at checkout, that seems to work out really good. I mean, it's unorthodox times right now. Usually we're used to in-store transactions being up close and personal to the customer, so it's a little different transactional experience, but your staff can get you there, and we can raise money for Regular Watch and any other advocacy for VTA. We're finding that it's a good avenue, and it's a good revenue stream. But in this industry, I'm telling you, the better we are, our staff comes first, our customers come second. Staff first, customer second. Be great to your staff will be great to your customers, and you'll reap the benefits all the more in the end.
Well, that's excellent, Dino. And look, thanks a lot for coming on the show, and hope to have you back on again. And just stay right there for 1 second, and I'll be right back with you as soon as we hit credits. And that is it for this edition of RegWatch. And as we just said, head over to support.regulatorwatch.com. That's support.regulatorwatch.com, and consider making a financial contribution to our vaping coverage. Again, John Britton will be on tomorrow. Just check on YouTube and Facebook for the times. It's 12 o'clock Pacific, and then so across the board. And then on Thursday, we've got conservative radio talk show host Vicky McKenna coming on the show. She's from Wisconsin. She's a firebrand, and she's definitely on side vaping. She appeared and gave testimony at the House Oversight Committee on vaping with the whole, Juul and teen craziness going on last September, and had it out a bit with Rashida Tlaib. It's fantastic. I can't wait to get her on. So that is it for everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Go to Facebook, follow us on Twitter. For regulatorwatch.com, I'm Brent Stafford.